All right. I'm here with Doug Smith, the owner of Access Access Computer Services Group. Yes.
It's a one-man show.
Yeah, one-man show.
That's the word group.
You're right. How are you doing, Doug?
I don't know if that's false advertising, but I'm in my 33rd year, so.
Yeah. If it's stuck by now, it's going to keep
Nobody's
sticking.
going to bother me.
Right.
Yeah.
So, Doug, tell me a little bit about how you came to found Access Computer Group.
Back in, I think it was 1981, I was working at Shared Medical, fixing computer boards.
Okay.
And that's when the IBM PC came out.
Okay. Yeah,
Us,
on our shelf right
Walt
over
and I
there.
are from the same,
Yeah, same era.
Same era, yeah, way back when. And when the IBM PC came out, my dad told me, because he was an engineer, he said, everybody's going to have one of those things. You should get into learning how to fix those things.
Yeah.
So we did warranty
Okay.
stuff. And everything was fixed by flowchart.
Okay.
Just a long ramp up to where Access Computer.
Yeah.
But to make it short. So I started, that's where it started.
Okay.
And then I went from Shared Medical, I went to a small computer store, did field service
Okay.
on Compaq, Gateway, and IBM.
Okay.
And then from there, I went and worked with a guy I grew up with in the neighborhood. It was just me and him.
Yeah.
So I worked with him for a year, and then I went out on my own. That
Right.
was January 1, 1990.
Okay, cool.
And then
So ever since then, it's
ever
just been
since then,
you.
it's just been me and my group. Because I mean, I've had consultants
Right.
to do servers and things like that. And I think about 11 years ago, I got together with Walt.
Okay, yeah.
But I met Walt back in like 91.
Oh, okay, yeah. So you guys have had a relationship for
Yeah,
for
but
quite a while.
I just bumped into him in Westchester.
Right.
There was only like two of us
Yeah.
back then. And he was doing like QuickBooks,
Okay.
software stuff or
Right.
something. And I was in doing printers and computers, but mainly because everybody had, there was like 3 laser printers back then.
Yeah. Yeah.
And everybody had them.
Yeah.
Because everybody printed like crazy. So I bumped into Walt. I would see him every once in a while. A whole bunch of years went by, and my buddy actually owned. No, my buddy rented this suite
Oh, okay. No kidding.
from Walt because I didn't know where he went.
Yeah.
I saw that they had left where they were over on Whitford Road,
Okay.
and I'm like, I don't know where Walt went. So time went by.
Yeah.
And I came over here to visit my buddy one time.
Yeah.
And there we are, ITX on the other side. And then I didn't walk in or anything. But later on, I needed help.
Yeah.
Things were coming unraveled with the guy I was using.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, my back was in the corner.
Yeah.
I had people stuck with me only because they had been with me so long.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They should have left me. I should have been more. I took my guy to the very end.
Oh, yeah.
And it was almost the end for both of us,
Right.
kind of thing. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And when my back was in a corner, it was either they're going to have to leave as much as we like each other.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I came in here and it's perfect. It was perfect.
I'm glad.
It was like one of those things. I should have done this 3 years ago. But,
Right.
but he probably saw my desperation. I've been there crying, But so I try to stay out of everybody's way, and if I need help, I'll call.
Yeah.
But fortunately, I haven't had any like emergencies where, I don't cry wolf. I appreciate what these,
Right. Yeah.
if I need them, I call, but it's never an emergency.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely.
I mean, even if it is, it won't be, I won't be over here knocking the door now.
Right.
It's just one of those things.
Yeah.
But so anyway, that takes us to 33 years later. I'm still here.
33 years later, 2023.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about your organization? What you offer, what you don't offer?
Yeah. Well, no Mac.
No Mac. Okay.
Yeah.
Strictly
And,
PC.
PC. And I don't have enough time left, to worry about Mac.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be nice, but then I have to. There's a big curve
Yeah.
to figure out what I know. After all these years, you forget all the stuff you learn. About PCs
Right.
and people watching amazement. You're like, well, it's. And I watched your guys in amazing because they're another level above,
Right.
a couple levels above me. But yeah, so no Mac, just all PCs. I don't even really do printers anymore.
Okay.
I mean, I have a guy.
Yeah.
They're up in Pottstown,
Okay.
and I've known him 40 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean, he was with a company in Malvern. I don't know, 20 years or something. Then he went up to Pottstown. He's working for another printer place, and
Okay.
I just send him out
Yeah.
because I tell him, I say, listen, if it's more than 6 or 7 screws to take out, I'm not interested.
Right.
And so anyway, I just call them now. I don't even bother.
Yeah, makes sense.
I don't even bother. I don't see enough printers like I used to.
Yeah.
And so the 4, 5, 6 times I need them a year, I just send them out.
Okay, cool. Yeah. In terms of stuff that you do,
Yeah. What I don't do anything. I mean, it was hard enough getting here. I mean, I got my best T-shirt on. See how white it is?
Oh, yeah,
Brand
it looks
new.
nice.
Brand new. It's a serious business.
So it's strictly PC.
Yeah.
Do you like dealing more with hardware fixes or software fixes?
Well, it doesn't matter
Yeah.
at all, but everything has turned more. Back in the old days, it was all hardware stuff.
Right.
And there were, it was a separation where somebody would call and say, hey, my program doesn't work. And from what they would tell you, say, oh, but you need to call your software guy.
Right.
And it's usually the group that sold them the software, whether it was WordPerfect or whatever.
Yeah.
And we had nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
So, and then, of course, those lines blurred.
Right. Over time.
Over
yeah.
time. So it's more software. And thanks to the guys who write viruses and spyware and all that stuff, they keep us busy. So
Right.
as those guys are around, we're good.
Right.
But I like personally, I like to when I first do a call, I like to get them going cheaply as possible.
Okay.
Like I don't want to tell them your machine is smoked.
Right.
I mean, I do if it is, but I mean, I'd rather not.
Yeah.
I'd rather get it going, have it at an affordable price and a quick turnaround, and then that's how I've been going.
Right. Yeah.
And then the word of mouth, and that's why I'm sitting in front of a mic with it.
Yeah, exactly.
now I'm famous or infamous, I don't know. But yeah, that's how word of mouth,
Yeah.
really got going, and it was for years and years and years, up to maybe 5 years ago, I think.
Right.
6 years ago, it could really start telling,
Yeah.
people are dying off, moving away.
Right. Yeah, so that brings me to my next couple questions. First, so let's go back 33 years ago. Again.
Yeah.
What made you want to get into this type of industry, or what made you passionate about it?
Yeah. Well, for one, my dad told me that this thing's going to take off.
Right.
As much as I fault my parents like any person in their 30s. No, I was in my 20s, but still. He was smart,
Yeah.
and he knew. So I just listened to him.
Okay.
And I had gone to a couple years of junior college. I went to a semester at Westchester. And a guy a neighbor in my parents' neighborhood worked at a flooring factory.
Okay.
He was the hiring guy.
Yeah.
Whatever. So I got a job at Kingoleum in Marcus Hook.
Okay.
And my buddies went to Rex Electronics School.
Okay.
Back then it was time clocks. Okay?
Yeah.
No computers.
Right.
Time clocks. And they're dressed nice, and they're driving around, and they can stop. They're on their own schedule. They're driving around. I'm at this factory.
Yeah.
And I worked in the lab. I mean, it was kind of cool. I mean, I worked with, I don't know if you can call them scientists, but biologists.
Okay. Yeah.
And I would test raw materials and all this stuff. So it wasn't like I was in the factory, but not factory worker.
Right.
And these guys are driving around, and I'm like, I got to do that.
Yeah.
That's what I got to do. So I went to electronics school for a year at night,
Okay.
3 days a week. maybe more. I don't remember, a long time ago, but I hated it
Oh yeah, no kidding.
because it was basic electricity. It
Okay.
wasn't really like, it wasn't what you guys get today.
Right.
I mean, because there was not, it wasn't there.
Yeah.
There were no cell phones.
Right, exactly, yeah.
Or anything, and yeah, I hated it, but I knew I got to get through this.
Yeah.
I got to get through. So I did. I got through it.
Yeah. And now 33 years
Basically they passed you because you just showed up.
Okay, yeah.
I probably knew less leaving there than I knew going, because like I said, it wasn't for me.
Right.
But what my buddies were doing, that was for me.
Right.
How am I going to get there? The path of least resistance type stuff.
Right, yeah.
But yeah, it didn't interest me one bit.
Okay,
But I
yeah.
knew what they were doing sounded really interesting.
So once you were in the field and actually
Yeah.
doing the work, that's when you came to start to enjoy it.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
and mostly it's because of the people.
Okay,
It's
yeah.
not really because of the computer stuff.
Right.
I mean, it's nice and all, and it's turned in, with this remote stuff now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, 30 years ago, we're never thinking of we'd be sitting at home
Right.
connecting, whatever. So, so it was nice driving around. Every time you got a phone call, you were on your way.
Right, yeah.
There was no like walking people through stuff. Stuff was too new.
Yeah, right.
You had to go out there with your little flow chart and go, is the floppy drive on? Okay, it is.
Yeah.
Whatever. We had these books. We had a box of books in the car.
Yeah.
That's the way it was.
Yeah.
PC was like $5,000-$6,000.
Right. You get one for like 200 today.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. So that's so it's a question.
So let's take the flow chart from 33 years ago
Yeah.
and compare it to how things operate today. How different is that?
Yeah. Well, I think that today, for me anyway, because I came up through just on the job experience.
Mm-hmm.
It's a feel thing, you kind of know to an extent, and then there's you guys, like I did this Outlook thing the other day,
Mm-hmm.
and I could get the address book, got it exported, and it was there, and I put it on another machine, and it was there, and it imported in, but it wouldn't come up.
Okay, yeah.
I'm like, oh man. And so I like, doing all what I usually do, Google and whatever, Microsoft site. I couldn't get it.
Yeah.
And I wasn't going to get that. Typically, I do my due diligence. Very,
Right.
very rarely does I call in and they just, click and see it.
Right.
So, I mean, but what Eric did was, my head's still spinning. I'm still nauseous from watching him do what he did. But he went in and he set up parameters for the import, basically.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
I had no idea. I thought you just import it, and walk
Right.
away. 'Cause I've never had to go any other than that.
Right. I would have done the same exact thing.
And he set parameters for the import. He probably didn't think I was watching, but I was watching. But it may be 8 months, a year before I run into that again.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm not going to know.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
That's why I have to, I'll call in here.
Yeah. So most of the time, it's just learned knowledge over the years.
Yeah, over the years, and just having because of the experience
Yeah.
up through the ranks, kind of have a feel on, at least that's why I always want feedback from people.
Right.
I
Yeah.
want to make sure I'm not sending them down the wrong road.
Right. Yeah.
Let me know if that worked, or call me back right away if you have a problem.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So I know, because it's just me and my group
Yeah.
sitting in my basement,
Just you and your group.
playing bass and doing remote. You can edit that. But, yeah, so it's kind of it's a on the job experience on up to today.
Yeah.
And moving forward.
Yeah.
Because there's no stopping.
Right. Yeah. Totally makes sense.
Yeah.
How do you think that people most benefit from Access?
Well, I think for one, I care about. I treat people the way I want to be treated.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's easy if I don't see somebody or talk to somebody for a couple of years or whatever, and they tell me what's going on. I know exactly what I would have done back then because that's already done for me.
Right.
So it's easy.
Yeah.
I don't care who it is that I'm dealing with, and plus, for me, it's not a money grab.
Right.
Because I need, like I said before, I need to do it quickly, do it cheaply, and get referred.
Word of mouth.
Word of mouth.
Yeah.
That's what it all is about. It's not that trying to squeeze the extra 150.
Right.
Which, I'd probably be better off if I don't even know if I'd be better off if I did. Because somewhere there's a threshold.
Right.
And it's walking that line of, big companies who don't care about anybody or the small guy who treats everybody like they're their neighbor.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Like I just did a laptop for an old guy. Doesn't know much about computers. I don't see Windows 8 for like 10 years.
Yeah.
2 days in a row. I get Windows 8 people. And so he brings me his laptop. It's Windows 8. And I tell him, I said, listen, this thing's like 13, well, it's 10 years old.
Yeah.
But it's Windows 8. I said, listen, you got all kinds of problems, of course, right? It's not, it hasn't updated, so who knows what.
Right.
I said, listen, I think since it's got 8, maybe I can put 10 on it. But I may put 10 on this thing, and it may not work.
Right.
I may give this thing back to you, and thanks for nothing.
Yeah.
Type of thing. So I put 10 on there. Everything works. And usually, it's the wireless. They get you with the wireless adapter.
Yeah.
For whatever reason. And usually you have to jump through hoops to get that to work, or you just add a thumb drive.
Right.
The mouse pad and the USB mouse hardly works. You move it, it moves 2 inches. You move it, it's choppy. So, and I spent hours on it because I see things to the end.
Yeah.
There's no stone unturned in my mind. I mean, I bring it here and you probably do this and fix it. I don't know.
Right.
But I mean, for me, I go to the end of my wherever knowledge or whatever, luck, whatever it is. But so I call him and I say to him, this is how I kind of treat everybody. I mean, I said to him, I said, listen, he's wondering how much it's going to cost. I said, well, listen, this laptop's worth nothing.
Yeah.
So I can't charge you all my time, or even half my time. You get a new laptop.
Yeah.
I said, but listen, it works kind of, and I have a used one coming in, and I'm going to sell that to him.
Okay, nice. Yeah.
That way he gets a laptop, I still get some money out of it.
Yeah.
But word of mouth, because that's what all this is about, getting that going again. And he got me from the Google,
Oh, no kidding. Yeah, awesome.
Yeah,
Great.
yeah.
Yeah, so that brings me to my next point, which is, let's see here, I got some questions written down. How do you think that your relationship with IT Edge, whether it be your relationship with Walt and your history together, or your relationship with Braden and I, how does that affect your everyday business operations?
Well, how does it affect? Well, I don't have to shy away from anything. I'm not like, oh boy, it's an Outlook issue. Oh no.
Yeah.
That's what it would be like.
Yeah.
I mean, if there's a bump in the road, I've often thought, what would I do if I didn't have you guys to call? Because before Walt, I mean, over the years, I tried other places because I didn't even know what Walt was doing.
Yeah.
I didn't know he had this whole thing going on. I knew that I bumped into him in Westchester and he was doing software.
Yeah.
And then there was a big gap of years. And I wouldn't even get return calls. Other people weren't really interested, for good reason. They don't know who I am, And so I knew that I was going to have to somehow get hooked up with somebody, or just keep grinding and finding somebody.
Yeah.
And I wasn't really interested in like getting in bed with somebody else.
Right.
It's not for me. Probably because I set a bad example. So, do what I say, not as I do.
Right.
That's what I tell my kids. Good parenting. So I never was interested in more than just like me.
Right.
And like I said, I had 2 guys contract, and both were okay. One guy was he just got messed up with some personal stuff after 10 years, and I couldn't get touch with him, and that's when I came in and saw Walt.
Oh, okay. Awesome. Yeah.
But so knowing that I can always call here.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a great resource.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
mean, obviously, I'm very lucky, to have. That's why I'm not a pain in the rear end. Because I need IT Edge more than they need me. That's the way I look at it.
Makes sense.
I'm like a fly in a windshield. So, just looking in. Hello. But what was the rest of that question? It was a long one.
Yeah, it was a little
guy my age. I make this question shorter.
So you touched on how your relationship with Walt has helped you with like day-to-day operations.
Yeah.
How about with Braden and I and what we do for Access?
Yeah. And I mean, another thing that I found out right away when Walt, because they took over my bigger clients.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we had a couple times we had situations where Walt gracefully declined helping him. And I never did that. And he got backed out of stuff because, it doesn't help the reputation. And, you get one guy saying bad things, whatever.
Right.
So I learned that right away.
Yeah.
That, he said, when the next guy comes in, call us. We'll tell them everything that they ask. There'll be no charge. Made it backing out very smooth rather than just not returning calls.
Right.
Like I would do.
Yeah.
But no. But I never got myself into telling somebody no because I never did.
Right.
And I really haven't since, but it's in my DNA now.
Right.
That if it's not going to fit,
yeah,
it's okay.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not for everybody.
Yeah.
And everybody's not for me.
Yeah, very true.
So, but that wasn't in my baggage.
Right.
It was, this forged forward no matter at whatever cost.
Yeah.
And so I learned that right away. And then what was the rest of that question?
In terms of what Braden and I.
Yes,
yeah.
you too.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so about word of mouth was all I did.
Yeah.
And I've done a couple things 8-10 years ago, like a couple big mailers and things.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing's working. I actually did Uber.
Oh yeah.
And I think a year and a half, I handed out 80 business cards, thinking, okay, I'll just drive when I'm slow.
Yeah.
I'll hand people my card. And everybody I picked up, I gave them a card. Mm-hmm. So it was 80. Because I kept track.
Yeah.
Got 0 calls. Plus, the people I was picking up wasn't really clientele. They was
right. Not your demographic.
Not my demographic. Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So when I did my mailer, I picked out zip codes.
Right.
And so out of 80, maybe 4 were probably the demographic. Big house, kids, computers.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Not somebody needs to go to CVS and home again.
Right.
In Coatesville or something. I mean, and that's what I ended up was doing. I was like, this isn't working either. And then, time flies by, and then I was at the Christmas party talking to Frank.
Yeah.
He said, well, we got a guy that does that now. We're in the same thing. Word of mouth just isn't happening anymore because of people going away and retiring and dying off. And so, so that now my Facebook page, looks great. The website, I'm getting maybe right now, of course, everything comes in bunches, but I'm getting some traffic.
Yeah.
Probably since, when did it get going? Maybe third week in January, maybe?
Yeah, I think that's when we first started posting.
Yeah, I probably had 10 calls.
That's great.
Now, a couple of them, 3 of them were like Mac stuff, but they can't control that. Unless you say no Mac, don't call. But I want them to call me.
Right, yeah.
Because I say to them, and I try to help them out, I try to point them in the right direction.
Right,
Like I sent somebody who had a cracked screen over to cell phone repair.
Okay,
Familiar with, they're called CPR.
Yeah.
but they do that kind of stuff,
Right.
Even though they're called cell phone repair.
Yeah.
And I send them over there. They're very happy. They told them, take down my information. If you got friends, not everybody's using Mac.
Yeah, exactly.
So anyway, I want them to call me.
Yeah.
Just to get the lines of communication.
Right. Yeah.
And they may not always be a Mac user. Either.
Exactly.
So,
yeah.
But yeah, so far, I mean, yeah, and stuff's coming in. Like the old guy with the laptop. I mean, he was very happy. He was very appreciative. I didn't charge him because he's an older guy, and he doesn't quite understand. He didn't know if I had told him $250, he probably wouldn't call me again.
Right.
And he probably wouldn't tell any of his friends.
Right.
Because he'd be afraid, you're going to call this guy, he's going to give you back a laptop, it doesn't work, he's going to charge you.
Right.
I mean, I could use $250, but I'd rather have him as a client. He was so happy. He said, I'm going to call you, if I have any questions, because I said call. I always tell people. But now I'm more intentional about, like I got new cards with, my Facebook stuff on the back, please leave a review.
Yeah.
All that stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm being more intentional, giving people 3 cards and listen, you got friends, family, and neighbors.
Yeah. Everybody got all 3.
I tell them, I said, listen, if somebody's out taking the trash can out, go give them one of my cards. And so, because I need to keep going as long as I can keep going.
Yeah.
So I mean, it is starting to come to life a little bit.
Great. I'm glad to hear
Certainly better than before.
Yeah.
Before, maybe I got a call or 2 a year. Maybe.
Okay, yeah.
And usually it was, well, how much? You'd say, well, could be this, could be that. And then, you don't hear from them again.
Right.
Which I'm going to get.
Yeah.
But I need the traffic.
Yeah, to weed those out.
I mean, those type of things can go away, but long stuff's when you get 2 things a year.
Right.
I mean, but now if I'm going to get 30, and 2 or 3 don't work out, I'm not. There's 30, you're going to blossom into something.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I believe we're almost out of time here, Doug. But I got one more question for you. What is one of the main things that you value in your relationship with IT Edge as a whole?
Well, it's definitely the quality of people that work here. I mean, that's where it starts.
Yeah.
I mean, and all my clients are so happy with everybody.
Yeah.
And so it starts with the people. And then they know a little bit.
Right.
They tell me they do.
Yes. So we say.
Yeah, so you say. I mean, that's what I tell people. I said, listen, I make promises I can't keep. Yeah, but it starts with, with Walt and Bob and the guys they hire. Guys from, out of state, Harrisburg.
Yeah. They took me from all the way over there.
Different time zone over there.
I know, right?
That's near Chicago, isn't it? Harrisburg?
I got to fly back home after work today.
Well, the airport's close. There's not an IT Edge helicopter.
Oh, true, yeah. I should ask Walt about that.
You got the Westchester Airport's over at the corner.
Yeah, true. All right. Well, thank you so much.
You got through them all?
I got through everything I wanted to cover.
I got more than you were bargained for.
Oh, hey, no, that is okay. It's always a pleasure. So thank you for coming in, Doug.
No problem.
Hopefully we can talk to you again in a couple months and see how you're doing.
See if my story changes.
Yeah. Right.
Do I need a lawyer?
It wouldn't hurt.
It wouldn't hurt. Okay.